scrap art tour, and I'm in the booth for Stampers Anonymous. And we're going to see in a few minutes here a live demo with Ted, the owner of Stampers Anonymous. While we're waiting for that to get ready, let me just do a little walkthrough and show you some samples of some of the artwork here that we have. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. Yeah, great tour. Those of you that love the mixed media, this is a wonderful project here. Look at this. So nice. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. That's so nice. And then we've got the shadow boxes down here. Look at that. So for all you Tim Holtz fans, Stampers Anonymous makes the Tim Holtz stamps. And they've got stencils here. They've got dies, ephemera, ink. Perfect, thanks. Okay. Hey, Ted.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for stopping by today.
Sure. I was wondering if you would show us a demo of some of the paste products that
We
you
sure
sell.
can. As you know, Ranger and Tim have collaborated with many different types of pastes and so forth, whether they be the white, and the white then comes in opaque, and it comes in matte, it comes in crackle and the like. And then for the holidays, they sometimes come out with colored pastes and so forth, though you can colorize the paste itself. But then he has like a crypt, which is gray, and it's got little different beads and little things inside of it that make it look really nice, and it also has a different texture look to it. And then of course there's the black. So I pulled out these here. These are the Tim's Distress pastes and so forth, and if we utilize them in different ways with Tim's stencils, his layering stencils, we can put them on a tag and alike. And let's go ahead and put some of the crypt down.
So it looks gray. Sorry.
This is a gray,
okay.
Exactly. And then this one here, when you put it through the stencil and lift, it comes up and has a completely different feel to it than other paste, because of it looks like it's almost like poppy seeds inside of it, but it's really just another way to get texture to your project and the like. So it goes down, and you want to make it as skimmed, as thin as possible, so that you really don't spread too much. And then obviously you're only going to use part of the tag, not the entire tag, because you want to have the ability to put a stamped image on there or some type of ephemera. That's going to be another thing. But then when you're all done, you go ahead and clean that off, and when you pull it away, you've got the actual image of the stencil with that, and it'll dry that gray. I just go ahead and put this into a little tub of water back here. Tim and Mario like to affectionately call this the lasagna tray, which is what it usually is. It comes from, the fast food industry where you do things. But then, you can take and still put with that. If you were to take like an example of the black paste or the white paste, they're pre-colored. And then I said you can also take, and I'll have some dried ones here we can do, where we have the ability to show before and finish, like on a cooking show where it's already all dried, and then we can put the paste and attach some colors to it, which will pretty it up and make it a little different. But this is the black paste that, as you can see, by putting it down, it'll fill up different areas of the tag. And then if we go ahead and give that a wipe and then put some opaque on here, then we put down all three colors of just the basic concepts. But then, like I said, then there is the differences. This is almost like a fluff. Sometimes you want to have a little snack with it. It reminds me of the marshmallow fluff that we had as kids to eat.
Yeah, it looks like icing.
It does look like icing, that's for sure. But then by putting this down, you see the contrast between the black and the white. And again, it just gives a completely neat way to start something for a tag for the base background before we start colorizing this. So these, like I said, are going to obviously take a little time to dry. People always ask, can I speed that up? And you could put it in front of a fan, and it'll take like 20 to 30 minutes to do that. So you can definitely speed it up. However, sometimes it's not recommended to do a heat gun on it, because then it dries in a different, funkier fashion. But those are the crypt, the black, and the gray, and those are going to take a little while to dry. And while that happens, I've got some here that are actually already pre-done in just the regular grit paste. And that grit paste, then when you start to apply the different colors to it, it changes things even more. If you were to spray a stain on here of any style that you like, spray stains or oxide stains, whichever you feel is best. Sometimes it's always best to take a splat box because that way you're not going to have this everywhere and anywhere on your area. So what I'll do with these is the wet ones, we'll move those out of the way so that they'll be drying, and we'll put this down. I like to put a piece of paper towel in here a lot of times because that'll make it so the splat box doesn't get as damaged, as it were, or as dirty as it can get. But by putting this on there, you can get a completely different look of how things are. It's always recommended to clean the nozzle between the time that you are spraying and putting a cap back on, because otherwise you're going to get too many clogged schnozzles. This is always nice to clean those out. Just do a little wipe on them and so forth. And you can see that once that's all finished, and then you go ahead and put a piece of paper towel on there and pull that away, you're going to have the base colors of a really nice background built up that you can start with. And then this I will take, and I will use a heat gun on to go ahead and get the color to dry. And you can always go back if you want and spray it again, but you can see how the actual paste itself works as a resist.
Okay.
And then, of course, all the regular tricks with what you do with split and so forth, you'll do with your tag at this point. At any point through this, you can take and just either use your water bottle and get some very interesting watermarks this way. Let it always sit about 10 seconds or so is all you really need. And for those 10 seconds, you can enhance that by letting it roll around the card a little bit and cross-contaminate. But that will then serve as another bleaching method. And again, by drying it, it's always best to hold your paper up so that the hot air will go through. But it really makes it for a pre-designed background and the like. Now this one here was done with two different stencils and the grit paste. And then we have another one here that we've pre-done and pre-dried where it's got the grit paste on there just, as basically as a resist. And you can see, without using any stencil at all, how that will look by doing the same type of process again. We'll just put it in here and then spray it again with, probably the best way to compare is by doing it with the same colors again as best we can, because that will allow it to be a little easier compared.
What color is that? Orange?
This is
yellow,
the,
I mean?
This is the, I've used the wrong one. We want to use mustard seed and gathered twigs, and the blue was the mermaid lagoon.
Okay.
So on this one here, we got the same thing.
That's the gathered twigs, the brown.
Exactly. And Tim, of course, is a brown fanatic, and by having multiple colors of the brown,
Right.
multiple shades, you can really, enhance that.
Yeah.
And then again, same thing, by just taking and blotting that off, where the stain is, it's going to be totally different than, it's going to give you a completely different look because it serves as a resist. And then you go ahead and give this a dry, and they'll both be dry, but you can see that you've got the beginning of a background that you can then stamp on. You can then embellish in any way, shape, or form that you like, and really have a pretty start to a finished tag. And that's
nice.
the best way to display the tags, I think.
Yeah. And the paste, that was a good example.
For the pastes, yes.
Definitely, yeah.
And the spray sticks. And some
Right.
will work with the oxides alike, too.
Right. Anybody have any questions?
Could you show the crackle paste?
I sure can.
I got a question first. Are you still doing the drawing it too?
Oh, I guess that's past two.
Oh,
yes.
I'm sorry. I took him away. I asked them to do a. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
All
We're gonna
right.
do those drawings next.
All right, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.